was just so foggy and just feeling horribly physically and mentally from all the pills that was just, and
Sure.
it was, they were so quick on it. It's just, here's this, here's this, here's this. And then I've brought it to several physicians' attention at the VA that I was partaking in cannabis, and
Okay.
it was making a huge change. And it's like they always just immediately shut down. Um, oh, you got to stop doing that, or I'm gonna have to stop prescribing you these pills,
Right.
this and that, which I was okay with.
Right.
But I still wanted to work with them. I still wanted
Well, that's the key.
them to be my partner in healing.
You're right, and that's what we're begging for is we want that choice. We want them to work with us to monitor us. If I'm taking 30 hydrocodone a week, then I want to go to 15. I need them to help me monitor that, right? And they should be able to do that. So the VA needs to untie their hands. Senator Isaacson, right here out of Georgia, who is about to retire. Governor Kemp's going to, name somebody else in his stead. I'm hoping to goodness that Governor Kemp actually names a veteran, a true veteran, not, man, I don't want this to sound bad or anything, but Senator Isaacson's done a great job. He served his country, but he is part of the problem. When you've been in D.C. for 15, 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
you are the issue. You are the swamp that is supposed to be drained, right? That's a big issue for us, is that the men and women who are making decisions for us and our lives are constantly in office, and they've been in office for decades. So we wonder why nothing changes for us. It's because of exactly that. There's no change over in Washington, D.C. with the people who are the decision makers, right? So I want to get back to, you mentioned earlier about the pills and that haze. A lot of people in our community, they utilize the zombie term.
Yeah.
Can you just explain that a little bit, if you don't mind? Tell us about that haze that you walked around in.
It's, you almost feel just completely blank, just completely dead. You're just going through the motions. You don't really put any thought into anything. You just kind of do what you feel you're supposed to do. You're never comfortable with any choice. You're never comfortable with any consequence of any decision, good or bad. It's just
Do you face those consequences? Do you even notice it when you're on that amount of medication? Do you know there are consequences to your inability to cope or think clearly?
You don't really see it as a consequence, but it's kind of hard to explain. You don't really see it as a consequence, but you still know it's there. It's still floating right around your head, and it's there, but it's like it doesn't matter. You're there, but you don't exist.
Right.
And it's just, the kids, your children see it. Your significant other sees it.
Troy, I only want you to talk about things you feel comfortable with, and I think I'll lead in with this. But I know when I was taking the amount of trazodone, the Lunesta, whatever it was, all the stuff that's the antidepressants and stuff that the VA gave us. My marriage suffered. My relationship suffered, and that's something that a lot of people don't talk about because they don't feel comfortable with it, right? But if you had a great marriage and a great relationship before the pills started, and then your marriage goes to hell, what's the cause? And the only thing that changed is the medication.
The medication.
What's the issue here? I mean, how can we solve that? How can we help somebody that's listening on that side of it that may be in this situation to where they haven't had a good conversation with their husband or wife, they haven't opened up, they don't know how to open up? How can we help them understand it's okay to talk and it's okay to reach out and ask for help?
I went through a bit of a situation when I first moved down here into Georgia, and it ended up my wife called the local law enforcement because she was in fear that I was going to do something, and I was on that edge. It was a very serious thought at that particular time.
Troy, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want everybody to understand that when you say do something, what do you mean?
End it, man.
Okay.
I mean, that's you just
look. I'm putting my hand in your hand, and I want the people who are listening there to know that, look, you're not alone. I've had those same thoughts. You've had the thoughts. How many of our brothers and sisters listening have had that thought? So didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted everybody to understand what that meant when you were making those comments and going that direction.
Well, it was a dark place, and I was just tired, exhausted. Thought I just didn't have the inertia to keep going forward, and I did. But one of the cops that showed up, he said, there's a lot of things that I've dealt with in my military service and my service as law enforcement. And he said, for a long time, I was just struggling. My marriage was struggling. Mm-hmm. My wife was, packing things up to move out. And I realized that I had to open up. I had to not think so much about how is this going to affect her? How is this going to haunt her as well?
Sure.
I needed to understand that when we married, that's what she signed up for. She signed up to carry my weight.
That's right.
And so a lot of these folks that, a lot of these veterans that are just, they're married, but they're really isolating their feelings and their thoughts. And
because they're not talking, right? They don't open up.
You've
right?
got to. You have got to. Mm-hmm. You've got to spill that, and it's going to hurt your significant other, but they want that. They want to take some of that pain from you.
Yeah, but it doesn't even necessarily have to be that significant other. If you just go to the VA and go to a group, and spill it there, just talk, right? Do you think that's even beneficial just in itself?
It does, especially when other people understand. So
sure.
I feel that a big thing is just networking, keeping in contact with people that you can talk to. Do not isolate yourself from those people, because those are the people that are going to pick you up when you take a knee.
Absolutely.
I know one thing I try to do is I try to volunteer with local veterans programs and organizations. And it makes a huge difference just when you're feeling like crap, when you feel bad about yourself and you can't press forward. Go do something for other people.
You're damn right, Troy. And, you told me that our buddy John Jackson up at Comfort Farms has a really great opportunity to volunteer up there. Tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, John is doing something very unique up there. In short, what he does is he's kind of works with the Dublin VA a little bit, and when they get veterans in that are just having a really hard time and it doesn't seem like anything they're doing is helping, they'll call up John and be like, hey, we've got this veteran, he'll go pick them up, take them out there to the farm, give them a couple days to relax, and then he says, all right, get out here, I need you to run this fence line, I need these, the hogs need fed, we need these planted over here, I need this fixed over here, and he just puts them to work, man, just puts them to work.
So tell us a little bit about that. Is it a farm? I understand it's agrotherapy. Is that correct?
Yes. Agrotherapy is like the primary focus, but it's also kind of, reinstating that team effort feeling, that purpose-driven mentality that we need, that we kind of start to fade away from as we get out, because then, it just feels like we're just lost.
Brother, I tell people all the time that the issue when we get out of the military and we start suffering the issues that we suffer from, right? It's because we lose that sense of mission.
Mm-hmm.
We lose that sense of drive that I have a mission to accomplish. I know what my objectives are. They're clear. I can stay on point and stay focused. When you get out of the military, you lose that, right?
The post with this podcast, whatever you need to do, but I'm here. It don't matter if I know you or not. I don't care what you did in the military. Because we were a team.
Well, Troy, I'll tell you one thing. I appreciate you giving that information. We're happy to share that. But if you wouldn't mind, man, I'd love to have you come back on.
Absolutely.
Maybe find a monthly spot for you just to come talk about it. We can get some of our brothers and sisters on here. And I'd love to just hear a little bit more about some of the volunteer experiences when you do. And we didn't even get into the gunsmithing and everything you're doing on the gun
there's time
side.
for that, buddy.
Man, we'll make it happen. So thanks, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is Joshua Littrell, the Veterans for Cannabis podcast. You can find us on any of your media outlets, so iHeartRadio, iTunes, Alexa, wherever you Google Radio, whatever you want to do. You can find us anywhere. Troy, thanks so much, brother. We're coming live here from Georgia. I really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon and putting some effort into it. And, I honestly cannot say thank you enough for everything, and it's an honor to call you my brother, man.
I appreciate everything you're doing, man.
Absolutely.
You're doing it, kicking it every day.
It's for us. It's for our brothers and sisters.
Day.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Line over there, over there. Send the word over there. That the Yanks are coming, the Yanks are coming. The drums rum-tumming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer. Send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there, over there.